About 5 years ago, I'm in the car with my wife. We're driving to Las Vegas. Nikki has her lead foot all the way down because she absolutely hates being in the car for long hauls. And I turn to her and I say, "What about coroners who are also cannibal chefs?" And Nikki, in her always honest and only slightly judgmental way, and without taking her eyes off the road, says to me, "Baby, I love you, but you're trying too hard." And as usual, she was right. Nikki was right. I was trying too hard. And there was a very good reason for that. The reason was I was not having a very good time writing. I wasn't having a good time telling stories anymore. First television writing job had just ended, and I was having no luck securing another one for a variety of reasons. I was doing shitty freelance marketing jobs, and I wasn't even getting enough of those. I didn't have a book contract at the time, and I was just throwing everything at the wall, just trying to get something to stick, and I was not enjoying writing at the time. I really wasn't, and I realized that was a problem, and that was the thing that was making me try too hard. So during that long drive, I thought about what my very insightful, very intelligent, very creative wife had said to me, and I started thinking about the stories that I love, things I like, things that make me happy, and the kind of stories I would like to tell to make myself happy again. I started thinking about all the great kind of wacky or kind of horrific, absurdly horrific urban fantasy that I enjoy, like Big Trouble in Little China and The Golden Child. You know, a lot of it back from, you know, when I was a kid in like the 80s and the early 90s. So I was thinking about that, and then I was also thinking about my very good friend Mur Lafferty's fantastic Shambling Guide series of books. The Shambling Guide was about a travel book that's written for supernatural creatures trying to navigate the supernatural world beneath the veneer of New York City. And then I had a new idea that was kind of a takeoff on my original bad idea that I pitched to her about those big feast scenes that you always see in fantasy novels that I cannot stand. I cannot stand feasting scenes. And the question that always occurred to me about them, or more of the thing I thought about whenever I would read those scenes, is who cooks all that food? That must suck. So all those things kind of converged in my head, and I pitched this idea to Nikki about this catering company in New York, because I lived in New York for a long time and was very, loved the restaurant scene there. I pitched this idea to her about this catering company in New York that would cater to supernatural creatures and supernatural events. And she thought that was very funny and very entertaining and really liked it. And I realized I really liked it too. So a little while after that, I was talking to my very good friend Alistair Stewart, who told me that Tor, specifically Tor.com, was beginning a new imprint devoted solely to novellas, to releasing shorter books, both in print and online, and that Lee Harris, who was a friend of Alistair's, had been hired as senior editor over there. So I ended up pitching this idea for what I called Sin du Jour to Lee Harris for this new Tor.com publishing imprint. And he thought it was, like my wife, he thought it was very entertaining. And he liked it enough to buy 2 of the books. I pitched him 7. I pitched him this series of 7 books. Each one would be named after a deadly sin, and that would kind of be the theme of the book. And it would sort of be like an episodic series of television, like a first season of a television series in novella form. That was kind of funny and about food and about monsters and about magic and satire and just everything that I liked. I wanted to write something that had everything I liked in it. You know, a ragtag team of mercenaries and cooks and just all these things that really interested me. So Lee bought the first 2 books. I wrote the first 2 books. Then they bought 2 more. And then somehow they bought the whole series, and flash forward, after all this babbling of mine, flash forward 5 years later, and in 2018, this is what we ended up with. Right here is 7 of these Sin du Jour books. And this represents about 4.5 years of my life right here, of constantly writing, finishing, and releasing the Sin du Jour series. And it finally ended last year in 2018 with this book, Taste of Wrath. This was my big epic season/series finale for Sin du Jour. It came out in April 2018. So now here we are, 2019, and this is actually a very big awards eligibility season for my little Sin du Jour series, because it's the last time that a Sin du Jour novella will be eligible for the novella category, which is Taste of Wrath, which I just showed you, the final Sin du Jour book. And it's the first and probably last time that the entire series is eligible for Best Series, which is a thing that exists now. And here's the thing, I fully, with no illusions, do not expect any of these books to get any kinds of award nominations. I just don't. For the reason that I am just not well known enough, the series is not well known enough. They're not the kind of books that generally win genre fiction awards, just for being largely dark comedies and urban fantasy and for a variety of other reasons. They didn't sell well, to be perfectly honest with you. The sales were very underwhelming, and I was very disappointed about that. So, having said all that, though, I did realize something, which is, despite all of that, and all that being true, and me being able to acknowledge all of that, I still think they're very worthy. I'm very, very proud of the series that I wrote. I really am, in a lot of ways. It's not easy to write comedy, and I feel like I wrote books that people think are funny and that make people laugh, and I'm very proud of that. I think they have a lot of heart, and the characters are very compelling, and the story is very compelling, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm also very proud of the fact that we did the whole thing, man. It was against all odds. I wrote 7 of these things, we released all 7, I was able to complete the story, and that to me is just amazing in and of itself. And despite the fact they didn't sell particularly well, the people who have read these books really love these books, and I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of my, small but very ardent readership for this series. And, I'm proud of the reaction that they've got. I got my first starred reviews in Publisher Weekly for this series. I got written up in the Washington Post. I got, good reviews in Locus, and just all of these venues that I've read reviews in over the years really dug the series, so I'm proud of that. So I realized that while they may not be the kind of books that traditionally win awards, and they may not be very well known to the people nominating for awards, it was worth making this video, and it was worth telling you folks about them, because I think they're very worthy, and I'm very proud of them, and there's nothing wrong with wanting that work to be acknowledged, and that's really what it's about. It's not even for me. I'd like to see the series acknowledged because I think it's worthwhile. So those are all the things from last year, writing-wise, that I have eligible this year for awards. Now that Hugo's are open and, award nominating season is upon us, I'm eligible for Best Series for Sin du Jour, and Taste of Wrath is eligible for Best Novella. Big final eligibility season for the series. I wanted to let y'all know, so if you're nominating for awards this season, please consider the books. You can go pick them up very cheaply for your Kindle, if you'd like to do that. And then if you're voting, on awards, I hope that, you'll give them your support. It would mean a lot to me. So there you go. And then in addition to that, of course, I also do the Ditch Diggers podcast, which won the Hugo last year for Best Fancast. We were very proud of that and very grateful to everybody. We're eligible again, so if you want to put us up there again, back-to-back award wins for the podcast would not be a bad thing, and all that stuff helps. It helps us make more and better shows and get more listeners and do what we do, and I'm very proud of the Ditch Diggers podcast as well. So yeah, those are all the things. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and as always, your support, and we'll see what I come up with for next year. But to all my Sin du Jour readers out there, from the bottom of my heart, whether it gets any kind of award recognition or not, I thank you for sticking with me through that 4-year journey of writing and releasing these books, and all of that is priceless, and all of that is worth much more than any award to me. So thank you. Thank you very much.